Hello, my darlings. Today we're going to continue talking about the book Thief, pages 304 to 403. And with this section, we're going to be focusing a lot more on history. So before we do that, we're going to have a couple slides of administrative stuff. And then after that, we'll get into the skill, which is how to analyze history. So first, let's talk about how hard this is. Okay, so I know that it's really hard juggling school and deadlines, and the deadlines don't seem real because you lose what track of day it is. You're tired of family, you miss your friends, all that stuff. And I just want to say I'm struggling too. This is really hard. So if you're feeling it, yes, everybody is. Next, every week I think this is the week they give up on me. This is the week they stop. And every week I am impressed with the amount of people who turn in their work and turn in good work. So I thank you for that. That is awesome, and I'm proud of you. I want to thank especially those people who are getting their work in before Friday. So if it's not done by Friday, we just have a lot of forms to fill out, a lot of emails to send, a lot of phone calls to make. And so not having to spend Saturday doing that work means I get to be with my family. So my kids appreciate it when you do it early, and so does my husband. So to those people who get it done early, thank you so much. I know that it's easy to think that there's nobody on the other end, that you're just sending information out into cyberspace to be what it is. And, that's not the case. I am reading. I know that makes it easier to take shortcuts because you don't think that anyone's looking over your shoulder. You don't think that anyone's paying attention. But let me just tell you this. So originality is the skill that employers are going to look for in you. Anybody can look something up off the internet. Anybody can do that. Nobody is going to pay you well to do that. But if you are someone who is able to analyze data, analyze people or characters, analyze settings or our environment, that is something that people pay big money for. And so this is a great time to develop this skill because you're not really losing any points for having a wrong answer. And especially with this book, there are so many directions to take this and so many right answers that you can be pretty fearless in what you say. So there's no need to look at the internet for answers because the internet doesn't have all of the answers. What you write is so much better, and you're developing the skill that's going to, get you a bigger payday. I also want you to know that I am reading your answers and I am paying attention, and I do realize, hey, I think I've read this exact same phrase or this exact same sentence before. Your analysis helps me figure out, first of all, what's going on, but second of all, it helps me write next week's lesson plans. I comment on your analysis. I write you notes. Good job. So please go back and pay attention to those. Those will be very helpful to you. And then finally, let me know if you need help. I'm definitely here. I can answer questions very quickly. Sometimes a quick question and a little guidance. Is Liesl Jewish or communist? Sometimes, that little thing can clear things up a lot. So just because you don't see me, that doesn't mean you can't raise your hand and ask questions, okay? All right, we're going to change the rubric just slightly. It used to be out of 2 points. Now it's out of 4. So 4 points means great analysis. If you've been seeing good analysis in your comments, you're probably good. But basically, it just means you're going beyond what you're reading in the book. You're going beyond what I'm telling you on the videos and thinking on your own. And I can definitely tell that these are your own thoughts and these are your own words. So 4, you're analyzing, you're thinking about it. Maybe you're right and maybe you're wrong, but I can definitely tell that the effort was there and the attempt was there. 3 is maybe you're doing research, but you're not really applying it to the book, or you're kind of just depending on the book and not really going to an outside source. Maybe it means you're not quite thinking deeply enough. 2 continues to be incomplete. You don't have enough sentences, or the complexity isn't there. So you have a really simple sentence. Liesel is a girl. Liesel is a communist. She could go to a concentration camp. That's 3 sentences, but they're not really complex. And then finally, if it hasn't been started, then it is 0 points. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at historic fiction, and we are going to take a look at how we analyze historic fiction. Okay, so what makes a history book different than others? One of the big things is that you can't change history. History is factual, it's very facts-based. And so as an author, when you write historic fiction, you have to make sure that your facts are accurate or you're going to lose credibility. So Zusak talks about double checking to make sure that this type of apple grows at this time of year in Germany. People will rip you apart if you get your facts wrong. One person I read wrote a book where a person drove the car that hadn't been invented for another 2 years, and the reviews of that alone were just terrible. So when writing a historical book, facts matter. But what good authors will also do is they use history to their advantage. So this creates dramatic irony. What this means is we know that Germany is going to lose the war. So we're waiting to see, how does this affect Liesel? How does this affect Hans and Rosa and Rudy? Who survives? Who doesn't? How do they die? How long do they last? And so we know some things, but not everything. And that's dramatic irony. For instance, we know that Germany surrenders in May 1945. So we know that if Max can survive till then, he'll probably make it. We also know what's going on in concentration camps. We know that they kill people who are old very quickly. And so Rosa and Hans probably wouldn't make it too far off the train. So knowing those things, it leads to suspense. We know that they're not going to survive the concentration camp. So if they get sent, they're done. Okay, so how does this connect? Research is going to be super important in this section because the war becomes a bigger presence here. The war almost becomes a character in and of itself. And so there are a lot of references to historical events, and a lot of them are important. If you don't understand that reference, then you can lose part of what the book is saying. So the middle section, part B, that you write on your section, this is all going to be research. So not a lot, but just researching and applying it. And this does mean that you have to do research from outside of the book and outside of this video. You can go to the United States Holocaust Museum. You can go to the virtual Jewish website. So any of those would be good sources. I want to share with you an example of someone who was doing an excellent job with their research analysis. The historic part I decided to research was Max hiding in the basement. Hiding in basements was not the only place they hid. They also hid under a factory or in the woods. They would even dig holes under the floorboards to hide valuables or sometimes even people. Most people got caught because the Germans figured out the places they could have hid. So what I really like is you can tell this person has gone beyond what is mentioned in the book and what is mentioned in my videos. So they've included new information, but then they also connect it to the book. Max, however, was hidden under the stairs with the sheets covering around him. He hasn't been caught as far as we know. So that is a connection to the book. I think that person could have analyzed it just a little bit stronger. So the only change I would have made would be maybe to add a line. This makes me realize how feeble Max's hideout is and worry about how they're going to keep him safe. So just kind of like, what effect does this knowledge have on my reading of the book? Okay, so let me give you a personal example of this. So as I was looking up some of the stuff, specifically on Mauthausen, which is down here, I came across this map, and this map is all of the concentration camps they created. And I had known that there were many, but I had no idea that there were this many. And when I saw this, I started thinking about, well, each one of these camps have guards. Each one of these guards have families. There are railroads that take people to places, and people went from camp to camp to camp to camp. There were, there's supply chains of people, sending supplies, logistics. And so it seems to me that if there are this many camps, there's no way it could have been kept a secret. And so it seems to me that this probably was an open secret, that way more people knew about the camps than they admitted. So that's kind of what I sum up here. If I were writing a historical thing, this is what I would write. Seeing this map made me realize how many concentration camps there were. Each camp must have had guards, supply chains, and stuff. All those people must have known what was going on, and so it must have been an open secret that people were being enslaved, tortured, and killed. And then here's how I connect it to the book. Here's how I analyze it. This makes me realize just how dangerous it was for the Hubermans to hide maps, and just how many people would have turned them in. Because if there's this many camps, there would have been way more people willing to turn them in, who are willing to turn them in. So that is my research, but it's also my analysis connecting it to the book. Okay, so you picked one of the things, you did your research, now what? How do you connect it? Okay, so you can make a prediction. Because Hans did this, I'm starting to wonder if blah, blah, blah is going to happen. Think more about a character. Now I understand why Rudy's dad said this. It's because he's worried about, blah, blah, blah happening to his son too. Consider the setting. Because this happened to another town in Germany, I wonder if this is something Moltking has heard about, and if the people are worried about it happening to them. Think about why the author included it. I wonder if the fuel tanks are a symbol, and if they could mean blah, 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 blah. Or apply it to a theme. This connects to the idea that words have power because blah, blah, blah happens. So once you've done your research, these are all the different ways you can connect it. And it doesn't have to be elaborate, but just show that you see how history and the book are related. So once again, here's what you're doing. You are doing your reading log. Section B is all research, and here's how you do it. Don't be worried about your answers being incorrect. I can definitely help you and redirect you if things are mixed up. You don't need to look on the internet for answers. The answers are frequently wrong, or not nuanced enough, or not as good as what you come up with anyway. And again, this is a great time to practice analyzing and thinking on your own. Please email me if you have any questions, and I would be super excited to hear from you. Have a lovely day. Thank you for your time.